Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to incorporate the GemDuos and the Cymbal Bead substitutes into right angle weave. So I have an example here on my table, and this is what we're going to be kind of recreating here. You can obviously see I have a different colorway that we're going to be utilizing. So what you're going to need to complete this project is you're going to need some GemDuos, and these are 2-hole kind of diamond shaped beads. And then I have the cymbals here, and these actually have a little core, and these obviously don't have the crystals in them just yet, so I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I have my 3 colors of 4mm Swarovski crystal bicones. I have some 11O Miyuki Delica seed beads, and these are just going to add a little bit more glint to that. And then finally, all the way up here, I have my clasp, which is going to provide a nice sleek finish. It's a nice magnetic clasp. And then for the filling of those little holes on those cymbals, we are going to be using the Swarovski crystal round flatback rhinestones in stone size 12. So that's SS12 is what fits inside these little guys. All right, so those are the beads that you're going to need. For supplies, I'm going to be using the crystal Fireline in the 6-pound because this is going to be a little bit of a heavier bracelet. So I want to go for the 6-pound as opposed to the 4-pound. So I have about 5 feet strung on my size 12 beading needle. And then I just have a pair of scissors. And then I have some GS Hypo Cement that's going to help me with those crystals later. And a magical pick. And I'll show you how to use that once we get to that point. All right, so if you have everything ready, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I have about 5 feet or so strung onto my thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through what's going to happen here, because there's a lot of design choices that you can make when you get to kind of creating this bracelet. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a very simple right angle weave. So we're going to kind of start on this side. So I'm going to show you how to do that right angle weave, and we're going to build up, and then we're going to kind of incorporate in that cymbals and the GemDuos. So as you can see here, my first panel only has one of those cymbals in the center. And if you jump over here to that second panel, and this is going to be true for the third and fourth as well, you have 3. But the idea with the bead substitutes is you can kind of incorporate them wherever you like. So let's say you wanted to do an entire panel that's all those GemDuo bead substitutes, you can do that. So there's just kind of a couple of options there, and of course obviously you can vary up your colors and whatnot. So I'm going to kind of just dive right in and get started. Okay, so we're going to start with a very basic right angle weave, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up I'm going to actually kind of set this guy out of the way. There we go. I'm going to begin, and I'm going to pick up one of the seed beads, and I'm going to start with the green here. So I'm just picking up 4 seed beads and 4 of my bicones, just alternating those. And this is creating that first unit of 4. Now this is a little bit more of an advanced technique, so I'm not going to spend too much time going through the right angle weave, but just so you know, you start out with 4 units there. You have 4 and 4, and I'm going to go ahead and slide that down so that it's close to the end. I'm going to leave a tail of about 1 foot or so because this is what we're going to use to tie off and add our clasp later. So now I'm just taking that, and I'm going to make a nice little overhand knot, bringing that through and bringing that all the way down there. And just for security, I'm going to do that one more time. And bring that all the way down. All right, so now you can see that we have our first little unit here. And I have my tail coming out this side and my thread coming out here. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of take my needle and I'm going to work around that unit, going through 1 bead at a time. You might be able to catch 2 if you like. But what we want to do is just work our thread all the way around so that it's coming out that top seed bead there. So we're not going to go all the way around the circle. I'll show you where I'm coming out here in just a second. Let me move my hand. This guy's a little hard to hold, so I'm just going to kind of work it around, and I'll show you where we're coming out. All right, so this is the last one. So here we have, and let me kind of set that down. So this is still our tail here, and this is where our needle is. It's coming out that little top seed bead right there. So now we're ready to add our next unit. So since we already have our seed bead, I'm going to start, and I'm going to use the crystal in the center one here. So I'm going to go crystal, seed bead, crystal, seed bead, crystal, seed bead, and crystal. So you can see that I don't have that fourth seed bead because I already have it down here. Go ahead and slide that all the way down. And wrapping around, we're going to go through that little seed bead one more time. And that creates our second little unit there, just like so. So now, same thing, I'm going to work my thread so I can get up to that next unit so I can keep building upwards. And again, just sort of as you go, just sort of check your tension, give it a nice little tug. You want to make sure these guys are going to sit nice and square. All right, so just like that. All right, and through that top seed bead there. And then we're going to repeat that process with our pink beads. So again, we already have that seed bead, so we're going to go crystal, seed bead, crystal, seed bead, crystal, seed bead, and crystal. Come on. All right, fine, I'll take you. There we go. All right, so again, just bringing it and swinging it all the way down and around, and we're going to go through that same seed bead that we're coming out of there to bring our little unit together. Okay, so let me kind of set that down so you can sort of see what we're working with there. So we have our 3 little units and our top little unit here. So now what I want to do is I want to go through that first bicone and that first seed bead. Let's kind of cinch that up, give it a little tension, a little structure, and we're going to go through that first seed bead. Now, here is where I want to show you your first design option. So let me bring back in my example here. So you can see that I've done only 1 unit here before I've added that length of GemDuos, but in each other one I added 2 panels of the right angle weave, so you can kind of see those little units there. Now, in the beginning of the bracelet, this is where you can kind of expand the size of the bracelet. So you can actually do 2 or 3 if you want this to be a little bit of a longer bracelet. This is a very small, this is about a 5 3/4, about a 6-inch bracelet. So if you do want a larger bracelet, I recommend just adding units of the right angle weave to either side. So what you can do is you can leave a really long tail if you're not sure in the beginning to do that, or you can just add on those units here as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the GemDuo panel just to kind of get you there, but that is a design option and a sizing option for you if you're creating this bracelet. Okay, so we are coming out of this seed bead here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add on 1 bicone of the same color, so whatever color that is at the top there, I'm going to add on 1 of the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of slide that down. And I'm going to go really slow so you guys can kind of follow. All right, so I have 1 pink bicone there. And then let's bring in some of those GemDuos just into the frame here. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top hole. So you can see on the GemDuos, there is sort of a beveled top and a flat back. So we're going to kind of always work and make sure that you're going through the right side of the GemDuo. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top hole, and I'm just going to kind of slide that down so you can see how that's going to fit there. All right, and then I'm going to pick up another pink bicone, and I'm also going to pick up 1 seed bead, okay? So let's go ahead and slide that down. Okay, here we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come back around, but what I want to do is I want to add on 2 GemDuos, but I kind of need to add them in this way. So I'm going to go through the top hole, going through that way, and then I'm going to string on the second hole of that GemDuo, and I'm just going to kind of pick this up. I'm going to string on the top hole of that kind of third GemDuo there. So let me kind of get my thread going through there, and then I'll show you where we're at. Okay, so we went up and through the top, picked up our bicone and our seed bead, and went down through the side here. See how we did that? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our thread around, and we're going to go through that second hole of that GemDuo. And this is the same technique whether you're using the bead substitutes for the whole thing, for part of it, whichever. It's the same sort of orientation with those holes. All right, so now we are going to pick up 1 of our bead substitutes. So again, these do have obviously a top and a bottom, sort of a front and a back. And you're going to go through that sort of top hole there. And we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to go through that second hole of that GemDuo that's right there. All right, so we're just kind of zigzagging our way through. So you can kind of see what's starting to form there, okay? All right, so now what we want to do is we're going to now pick up 3 seed beads. So pick up 1, 2, and 3. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow us to go around there. And now, those are going to sit right there. We're going to pick up another GemDuo. And let me just get my next 2 ready here. So we're going to pick up 1 GemDuo. We're going to go through that bottom hole. And we're going to pick up that second white GemDuo that's right there. And we're going to thread our needle all the way through. There we go. And now you can see kind of what's going to happen here is we already have one of our little seed beads as part of that crystal unit right there. So I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead and I'm going to go through that seed bead there, kind of bringing that around. And I'm going to pick up 1 more seed bead and I'm going to go all the way through my little thread path that I already have there from the bottom of that GemDuo to the top of the cymbal to the bottom of that GemDuo, all the way through the bottom there. All right, so let me just hold that stable and then I'll get my hand out of the way. All right, so there can you kind of see what's happening there? So we're coming out of this hole here. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go down through that whole thread path one more time. So I'm just going to go down through these 3 little seed beads. And across. All right, so now we are coming out that second hole there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create that thread bridge and we're going to go back this way through that first one. And then let me bring in another GemDuo. And we're going to go through that top hole there. Just have to pick it up. There we go. Slide that down. And then naturally you're gonna, I gotta start picking it up. There we go. And we gotta go through that other GemDuo right there. So they should all just kind of align. And you'll be able to tell right away whether or not your GemDuos are facing top or, you know, front or back. So you can kind of flip that around or just go back through if you end up having an issue. Okay, so now, kind of as we did before, we're gonna pick up 1 seed bead, and now we're gonna pick up 1 of the green beads, and we're gonna go around through this top here. And now we're going to pick up 1 green seed bead, or excuse me, 1 green crystal bead and 1 seed bead. And we're going to go, oops, excuse me, I lied. All right, just 1, because we already have our seed bead there. See, it'll kind of naturally tell you what needs to happen. So don't worry. All right, so there we go. So the last thread path that we need to do is we just need to connect these beads together here. So we're going to go through that one more time. And I want to see if I can catch all beads. There we go. All right. So there we go. So now the next logical place to go is we're going to go through just that seed bead there. And just like it is on the other side here, and I'm just going to kind of cinch up my tension there. There we go. And just as it is on the other side, we're ready to start that next unit. So you're just going to kind of continue on in that same manner. So we're going to pick up 1 of our green crystals, a seed bead, a green, a seed bead, a green, a seed bead, and 1 more green. And go ahead and slide that down. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of bring that back, and we're going to utilize that little seed bead there as our seed bead that is part of our right angle weave unit. So just kind of sneak your needle through there. And you can see that we're already ready to begin doing our next little units there. So let me do one more because that'll be kind of the final piece of the connection there. And like I said, this is kind of how you can expand. You can also do these little units of right angle weave in between. You can make, you know, instead of having 2 panels, you can do 3 panels, or you can kind of just adjust it however you like. All right, so this one's going to be the last sort of part that's a little bit different. So we're coming out that top seed bead there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add on 1 crystal bead, and then to kind of utilize that center seed bead, we're just going to sneak our needle through there and come up with that crystal bead. That's right there. Make sure he's flipped around properly. So now we can continue the rest of that right angle weave unit. So I'm going to pick up a crystal, a seed bead, crystal, seed bead, and 1 more crystal, because we already have that 4th one there. So now we're going to go through that little seed bead that is right there. Oops. There we go. And we're just going to sneak that through and watch our unit kind of come together. All right, so now let's move our thread all the way back up to the top. And we're just going to repeat exactly what we did at the bottom there with that green, kind of utilizing that seed bead at the top there. Now, in right angle weave, you might kind of get turned around. And if that happens, just keep moving your thread along this sort of circular thread path, and that will lead you in the right direction. So don't feel like you're getting lost. Just kind of keep going. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add on 1 crystal, 1 seed bead, 1 crystal, 1 seed bead, and 1 crystal. So I have 3 and 2. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, again, kind of go through that seed bead there. We're going to utilize that. And then to finish up that little unit, we're going to add on 1 more of our pink crystals and go through that little seed bead there. All right, so that finishes up our unit. So just kind of get your thread, again, kind of following that circular pattern until you are coming out that little seed bead, and now you can continue to do your right angle weave. So you'll be working up and down. So it will kind of flip around for you if you decide to not do that GemDuo panel right next to it, but you'll just kind of do the reverse. So you'll be working your way up. All right, so that is how to do the basic adding of the GemDuos and cymbals into that right angle weave. I'm going to continue to do the entire bracelet off camera, and then I'm going to come back and show you how easy it is to just finish it off with that nice sleek clasp, and then we're going to be adding our crystals into those cymbals. All right, so I'm going to finish this up, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so here is the finished weave, and I want to let you know that I made a mistake. I'm human, so I'm going to show you how to fix it. All right, so let's go back all the way to our very first unit here. So if you remember, we were kind of coming out the top there, and I told you to go over, across, and down and through, and then we kind of continued heading down. But one thing I forgot to tell you is we want to make sure that each of the little units is connected. So what I should have done is gone up and over and down and through, and then back through one more time, and then down. So that's the only thing that I made a little boo-boo on. But if that should happen to you guys, what I had to do is I didn't realize I had done that until I had gotten all the way over here, and I was doing it on the second one, and I was like, oh shoot, I missed a little step. So what I did is I did my little loop, and then what I did is I wove and just followed that thread path all the way down until I could come up here and make that little loop, and then I brought my thread all the way back over here and just continued. So if that should happen to you, or if you notice like, oh, I added a bead, or I, needed to fix something or whatever, just kind of, again, just keep following those little circles of the thread path. So that's how you fix it. But, we're human, we make mistakes, and instead of filming the whole video again, I just wanted to let you guys know what had happened right there. All right, so just make sure that all of your beads are connected, and once you've brought yourself all the way to the end, here is what it should look like. Now, What we need to do to add that clasp is we need to be coming out the bottom side of one of those 3 little beads here. So that top one, we need to be coming out the bottom. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our clasp and I'm just going to unclasp it, set one aside. And now what we're going to do is we are going to pick up 2 of our seed beads and we're going to go through that very first loop, just like so. And string that down. And then we're going to pick up 2 more seed beads. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into that second seed bead there, the one that's on that middle unit. Oops, let me just pick up my work there. There we go. All right, so you're going to start to see that kind of come together there. And then we're going to pick up 2 more seed beads and we're going to go through, and I'm just going to I'm right-handed, so I got to work it around there. There we go. Go through that second loop and then pick up 2 more seed beads and go through that very last seed bead there on the bottom. Now, if you'd like, you can kind of go back through and reinforce, but you see how it creates just a nice little line there. So what you can do is we can just go down through our beads. And we'll just kind of come back around. And let's say I've gone through it twice just for the sake of time. But if you did want to go through it again, you're just kind of following along there. You can get all the way back up to the top and go down through one more time. But then we're just going to take our needle and kind of catch one of those little thread bridges there that's happening in the back. There we go. And make a little loop. Stick our needle through there and pull tight. And that's going to be our nice little knot there that we can now just sort of tie off. And that's the same little method you'll use if you need to add thread. You can work with a longer piece of thread. This definitely did. I needed to add thread about halfway through. So you just kind of use that same little method and then you just weave in some fresh thread. All right, so let me finish up this other side really quickly here. And I'm just going to kind of flip mine all the way around. I'm right-handed, so it just makes it easier for me to work that way. But when you're using these magnetic clasps, you definitely want to make sure that they are going to be facing the right way. So you want to make sure that you have one up and one down. You don't want to end up with that kind of situation. It's happened to me before and it's always frustrating. So just make sure it's flipped the right way. So we're going to do 2 seed beads, go through that first hole, do 2 more seed beads, and go through that middle seed bead. 2 more seed beads through that second hole, kind of doing my little backwards method. All right, and just 2 more seed beads and going through that third one there. All right, so now we have our nice clasp attached. And I'm just going to go down through a couple. And you can catch that little thread bridge wherever you want. I'm just going to do mine right there on the edge and then just kind of go through the next adjacent bead. All right. And let's just trim that off. Coming in with my little snips. There we go. Okay, so now our bracelet is almost finished. The last thing we need to do is we're just going to be adding those little crystals. And this is why I like to do it as the last little thing. That way you've woven in all your threads. You're not going to mess with the bracelet. You can actually leave it to just kind of hang out there for a little while. So let me move some of this stuff out of the way. There we go. Bring my bracelet up. So these fit that stone size 12. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little magical pick here. And this is just a little piece of tape. And what this does is this kind of activates the magical pick. So I can come over here and just pick those little guys up. But before we do that, because we want to move fairly quickly, we're going to use our GS Hypo Cement. And you can see that I definitely have used this one before. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take off our little tip there. And it has that little needle point. So all you're going to do is you're just going to add a little tiny dab of glue into each one. So I'm going to work fairly quickly here. And you have a little bit of time. So I'm just going to add to each little one here, just a little tiny drop. You don't need to add too much. There we go. And now I'm just going to close that up. And quickly, we're just going to kind of use our little pad here to activate that. and just come in there and just kind of slide it in. And we just work our way all the way across. And you can use this other side to kind of nudge it in if it kind of gets out there. They kind of sit really nicely into these little bezels. So you just work your way all the way across. And just, in case you guys are curious, the GS Hypo Cement does dry fairly quickly, but we always recommend at least 24 hours to really just let it sit and be alone so that it can really achieve that full maximum bond that you're going to want. Just activate that again. Here we go. Because we don't want to lose any of our crystals, but you will have extra crystals, so definitely keep those handy in case, over time maybe one pops out or something, you can replace it, and you just do this exact same method with that GS Hypo Cement. And if you want to, you can do half the bracelet at a time. I just wanted to move quickly for the purposes of my video here. But if you think that you're, don't have maybe a steady hand, you can definitely take your time adding these in. All right, and last one. Now we are at full maximum sparkle. I just love this Swarovski crystal bracelet, and you can just see this is a real true testament to how different things look in different colors. Just look at how different the gold version with the pink and green looks from my red, white, and blue version. So these use those beautiful Swarovski crystals, the GemDuos, and the Cymbal Bead substitutes. So you can get all of these supplies and see this full tutorial by heading over to Beadaholique.com. And if you're new to our YouTube channel here, be sure to hit that subscribe button below.